sort of fix up systems or improve them or improve codes, laws, reforms on the systemic side when something goes wrong?
Well, because that's how we've been educated to think. It's the easy, we know how to solve that. We're good at that. You know, whether it's been at home, in our schools, in our universities, business schools, even in business, our training in business, it's all about skills. And it's all about rational thinking and analysis.
So your idea of leadership will concentrate and focus more on behavior, on the person, self and stuff like that.
Yes.
And can you elaborate a little more on how do you really systematically develop that?
Well, I think you know, as I sometimes say to typically to business school graduates when they ask me, you know, what is it that makes a great leader? I will say, well, it's a little mantra. One word is awareness. Increase your self-awareness and awareness of others. If I can give you 2 words, it's emotional intelligence. If I can give you 3 words, it's understand your brain. And the great thing is that there's been so much new research on neuroscience in the last 15 years that we now know a lot more about how the brain works, so we can actually position things to relate to that. And fourthly, 4 words: live beyond your ego.
But when you say it comes from within, it comes from self-awareness and stuff like that. But where does the real spark come from? The divine spark, if I may call it.
Well, I think you know, people have to have their own insights, and I think that one of the problems with leadership in general, the way we think of it traditionally, and our default, because our brains are basically still Stone Age man, is know everything and tell people what to do. Now, you know, a lot of leaders are more sophisticated than that. But what happens is when they're stressed, which is quite often, they may not be in a crisis, but they get stressed, is they go back to default, and it's all about knowing everything and tell people what to do. Where what neuroscience tells us is the best way that people will learn to be effective is actually to be given an environment where they can have insights, which is a totally different thing. You know, probably the most important thing that a leader can do today is to provide an environment for their people to get insights, because that is what's going to make them more productive. So that's where the spark will come from, people having insights, and also an emotional connection with the leader that will make them want to join that same visionary journey.
So how do you typically roll out the transpersonal leadership model, say, in a company?
Well, first of all, we would do a diagnostic, so that if we're working with a team of people, preferably the senior team to start with, because if you start with a senior team and they get on board, then it's much easier to roll it out practically in an organisation. But after a diagnosis where we've identified what the key issues are, we really start by helping people to start increasing their own awareness. One, about that the world has changed and that the traditional thinking about leadership won't work. So to open their mind to the fact that, you know, maybe they need to look at things in a different way. But it's for them to reach that decision, not for us to tell them. The second then is having got to that an increased level of self-awareness, is to help people to understand more about emotional intelligence and how their behaviours can affect their leadership style. So in a granular way, it's no use people knowing that they need to improve their empathy. It has to be at a much more simple level, like they need to learn to listen effectively, or they need to feed back that they've understood people's feelings. So it's at a granular level that people can actually work with, rather than some concept that is mystifying. The other thing is that everybody has a natural leadership style that may be a little bit beyond the Stone Age version that they've developed. But to be an effective leader, you need 6 styles. And normally, even good leaders only have 1 or 2 styles that they use. So the only way you can develop the other 4 styles, say, is to learn new behaviours. There's no way around that, because behaviours relate to leadership.